Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Season 2 of May I Interrupt? He's Dr. Justin Jedlicka. I'm Craig Norman, and we're happy to be your host today of what we hope will be a really interesting half hour or so discussion. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Craig. Thank you very much. I have my May I Interrupt water bottle, so I'm staying hydrated.
Yeah, good.
I'm trying not to look your way too much, protecting my eyes from the glare off.
Correct.
Of,
Correct.
Just doing my usual. So it's a good day. I've been fondly thinking of playing golf with you again sometime soon.
Excellent.
Seeing the golf balls there.
Excellent.
And I'm just excited for our guest today.
Yeah. So I see you're staying hydrated, but why is it red?
Excuse me?
The stuff that was inside there.
I didn't say what I was staying hydrated with.
I see. It smelled like
That's
a lot
between
like grapes
me and you,
as
Craig.
well. Grapes.
Just ruined the show now.
So we are super excited today to have one of the premier contact lens persons on the globe. I think you all have heard of this fellow's name, but today we're going to try to get up close and personal with Dr. Ed Bennett. Ed, join us, please.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, now we really have 3 Indiana people
Exactly.
in the chairs.
Yes,
That's solid.
it is.
Hoosiers.
2 that is, are there right now, and 1 that was banned.
They might have let him back recently.
Right.
Possibly.
Right. So, Ed, we're not going to go too much into your background, right? Except that we were pleasantly surprised to hear that you recently retired.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wasn't pleasantly surprised to hear that.
You weren't?
I was disappointed.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know, I like Ed.
Oh, I like Ed. No, he's here.
Oh, okay, so being retired, he gets to hang out with us
Exactly.
more. Okay.
He gets to work on
Then
his
I'm
golf
pleasantly
game,
surprised you retired.
which needs it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Give him a golf ball, right?
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I entered. Yeah.
So, Ed, you have published, I don't know, I think more books in contact lenses than anybody else. I'm guessing that that's a true statement. Is that right?
Well, I can't say that, but I've been fortunate.
Yeah. Well, you've been fortunate because you've had terrific co-authors. Right? So we know
I have.
we exactly. So
I really have.
we know that. But Ed, in all seriousness, I mean, the stuff that you had written, in particular on gas permeable lenses, which laid the foundation for many folks, I think was really a seminal work at the time. And, we've heard the story many times, but my understanding is that almost never even got published. Is that correct?
Yeah. Thank you, Craig and Jason, for your kind words. I've been really lucky in my life, and I was in a position where I had an idea for a book, and it was really, GPs were in their infancy. This is probably about 1982 or 83, and I put it together with Bob Grohe, my first co-author, and he, we were unproven, and sent it to every publisher, got rejected by everybody. One letter said, "We don't think it's a good topic, and who's ever heard of Ed Bennett?" So I went to my mentor, Dr. Irvin Borish, and said, "Dr. Borish, would you contribute a chapter on rigid multifocal lenses?" And he said, "Sure, Ed." Put his name on the table of contents, sent it to his publisher, and he had the biggest selling book in optometry, and it got published. Mm-hmm. And the rest really was history for me.
Well, it's phenomenal, and the the different volumes that you published. I mean, that again, it's all I can say is it's a seminal work. You should be congratulated for that.
Thank you.
So Ed, we know you for a lot of things. Professor at UMSL. We know you as an author. We know you personally as just a good guy. I mean, there's all of that. You're an average to below average golfer. We know that as well.
True.
And which makes at least 2 out of this 3. This
Right.
one is above average. Just
Average.
a bit.
Average at best, right?
But over here. But Ed, I think that one of the coolest things that you have done is to be associated with the RGPLI, or the Gas Permeable Lens Institute, where you were involved in taking the organization from its infancy into this much bigger entity, and we're going to ask you to talk a little bit about that today as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the impact that it has done, especially through your residency program, for here at the Academy of Optometry. I've run into like 40 people just today that were ex-residents and participants in the GPLI. And so you're still actively involved with that, correct?
Yeah, it's really been my greatest privilege. When I think about the decision that has meant the most to me professionally, it was becoming executive director of the GP Lens Institute, and just all the programs that we've developed for students, residents, and for practitioners. And we've got a campaign going on now that will allow us to do even more. We've got a lot of great ideas and programs for the next couple of years, and the residence program is, as you said, it's one of our most enjoyable and most beneficial, and we've now, 23 years, we've seen hundreds and hundreds of residents become leaders in cornea and contact lenses. I want to give a shout out to Ursula Lotzgad, who it was at a educators meeting when GPLI brought the educators together.
Ursula Lotzgad?
Yeah.
I've slept with her.
Wow.
I'm out. She's my wife.
But she was, we met and talked, and she thought, boy, a meeting for the residents would be a great idea. And she's coordinated all 23, and it's just been such a blessing and a privilege to be able to work with them. But yeah, to me, being able to do all these programs for practitioners and for students and residents, and knowing that we've got some great programs coming down the road is just absolutely so much fun.
I don't know if you looked at the grid here at the Academy of Optometry. We all look at the grid in preparation to see what we're going to attend. Yeah. And you look at the contact lens column, right? And I was going through there, and I was going, ex-resident, 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 right down the line, right? That, and that's amazing. And all of them who I was reminiscing and remembering when they went through the residence meeting of the GPLI, kind of what year and what they've accomplished.
We've had this outstanding advisory board, and you both are members, long-term members of it. Jason's done kind enough to do many webinars and contribute to many of our programs, and how fortunate are we to have you. Craig, you are the answer to the trivia question, who's been the longest member on our advisory board? You were on the advisory board. I started in 1988. You were on the advisory board before I started.
Yeah.
So you have that. And
I remember it because I advised them against hiring. You're a very wise person.
I
thought they should get somebody qualified.
Wow.
And again, I'm solely kidding with that statement because Ed, you've been fantastic. And I didn't know this bit of trivia, by the way, that I was the longest.
And you've been an outstanding contributor. I'm not going to return the kidding. You've been an outstanding contributor.
Is there a pension program?
Yeah, boy.
Well, in the story I've told many times is how I became executive director. I was filming videos at Berkeley with Dr. Robert Mandel and Carl Moore, and how wonderful to be with Dr. Mandel. When you had his book as a student, and he's legendary, and you're doing these videos for the GPLI, and then we get done, and Carl Moore takes me to the airport, and he goes, "Well, Ed, we'd like you to become executive director of the GPLI." And I said, "No, I'm not qualified to do that."
Right.
And just what you were saying a minute ago.
Well, I was the guy that told Carl that.
Yeah.
And Carl goes, "You don't understand, Ed. If you don't accept this, then I'm going to drop you off at the side of the highway. And you're going to have to find a way to the airport." Right. So I said yes. What a great decision.
And I know that story is true because I've heard Carl repeat it almost word for word, right, from what you said. And of course, he's always felt that, that was an important moment for him too, to be able to get that position settled with you. So the activities that are going on with the GPLI right now, right? That my understanding is that the structure's changed a little bit more, that the GPLI was historically part of the Contact Lens Manufacturers Association, and now they're more of a offshoot or separate business entity, separate 501c3, which means that you accept donations.
Yes.
He accepts donations.
We accept them.
Good plug. Way to work that in, Craig.
And with the goal to continue to be able to just supply state-of-the-art, unbiased education. It's not company biased at all. It's really, you learn all this, and the companies that are here in this exhibit hall, they can figure out how to sell the widgets to people, right?
Yeah. And what's really exciting for us, and we'll introduce that program before the end of the year, and it really is in a position where we've worked so hard to try to be the generic, education source or education first in terms of GP and custom soft lenses, but we can do so much more, and it comes down to funding. So we're very, very excited about that. We're going to introduce practitioner membership programs, student membership programs. We have a series of modules that we're going to condense it to OMG, but basically it's, oh my God, I got a GP wear in my chair, what do I do? And we've got an outstanding committee, Jen Harthen and Michelle Mann coordinating at ICO, along with, we've got Suka Bacik, Karen Lee, and Lacey Haynes, and we're going to introduce our first module. It'll be very comprehensive next year. Then we're going to follow up with myopia, keratoconus, and multifocal modules.
So who's the focus of that education? Who's the potential audience?
The novice practitioner. There's a few practitioners out there who don't feel comfortable with GP lenses, and we all know that, quite a few. But also students can benefit as well. It can be for the student as well as the novice practitioner. And then we're going to expand our workshop programs at the schools and be able to do case grand round workshops, expand our scleral lens presence in the schools. We work with SLS on scleral workshops. So we're real excited about what the future holds.
What's funny is in the last 2 or 3 years, I've been asked to do more speaking or lecturing or workshops on basic GP lens fitting than 20 years before that. And so again, I don't know if it's that we've got so many other options, that sclerals are taking over, and so much that people are moving away from corneal GPs, but now people want it back again. They want to get better at it again. And I think it's just cyclical. I think it's coming around where more of your novice fitters maybe came out of their programs and hadn't worked with it and realized, no, I want to know how to fit these lenses.
Right. I want to share with you something that's interesting. I'm involved with a project that is a optometry student poster contest, right? And so they submitted the top 6 posters. Once they're decided on by the judges, get to go to GSLS. This has been an ongoing program, and so on. So I was just reviewing some of the preliminary results from this most recent one, and only around 15 to 20% of the submissions for the posters were on sclerals.
Interesting.
I thought it was fascinating because if we would look 6 or 7 years ago,
it would have been a lot of
switched. It would be switched in the other direction, that it was that many sclerals. And so I started to think the same thing you just said, Jason, is I wonder if people are looking at other parts of contact lenses still. They're not just saying scleral lenses are for everybody, although they're terrific, right? That what about these other kinds of things that you can try, whether it be corneal lenses or piggyback lenses or unusual applications of the lenses?
I think one thing you both share in common is your history is working with all those types of lenses. You work with spherical GPs, multifocals, sclerals, myopia. That's one thing that's really nice for everybody to benefit from is your history is full of fitting those lenses, and you appreciate that. We benefit from that.
Yeah. That's great. So Ed, what's next for you?
Well, I'm excited. Here at the Academy, and I'm head of a task force for leadership. And it's been really enjoyable. Our program is a 3-hour program here. 8 virtual modules throughout the year, and then a 2-hour program in San Diego, and then we'll continue that. And we hope then we have big plans for what we're going to do in our efforts to be the source of leadership in optometry. So I'm really excited about that. Love working with contact lens spectra, and I think that but GPLI is, I still teach part-time. I used the word that you used a few years ago. I've transitioned, not really retired.
Yeah, I'm continuing to transition.
Yeah.
Well, you hate to be put out to pasture if you still have something to contribute, right?
Yeah. It's fun to still be involved, keep your mind active and play a role. And it's really wonderful to do.
Yeah. So, Jason, we're on the home stretch here.
Yep.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to bring up today?
I don't know. We could talk about the Cardinals.
Yeah.
We could talk about some of your patients that are interesting, but no, I just, what's interesting, because I did a contact lens residency, and it was before
this, right?
This,
right?
And I left that residency year with knowledge about fitting specialty lenses. But there was nothing for me to take there. There was no connections.
Yeah.
There was no fellowship of others that I had connected with. And so, in a jealous way, I look at it now and I think, we have people come to us, say, I want to do a contact lens residency. And they say, because I want to get better at fitting specialty lenses. And I say, well, that's a good reason to do one. But the real reason to do one is to meet the fantastic people in the contact lens world and to network with them and build the connections with industry, with other fitters, to begin a lifetime of specializing in the GP field and contact lens field. And that all goes back to what GPLI has done these last 23 years. It's completely changed what contact lens practice is about, because now there's uniformity and there's family around it, and it's become a specialty that everybody wants to do.
And you hit on an excellent point that the GPLI Residence Weekend, where they're exposed to industry, opens their eyes to something they'd never have the opportunity thereafter. They go from kind of just knowing a little bit about contact lenses to rubbing shoulders with these principals and experts within these companies that will have relationships with them for a really long time in their career. And you just can't get that easily, right? It's a one-by-one thing.
And it benefits the residents, it benefits the labs, it benefits everybody. But that's GPLI making it happen, and it's all the difference. So appreciate your body of work for these many years.
Right.
That's very kind of you to say. They've several companies now have partnered in to work with the residents so that education is ongoing through the year. We started a residency advisory board, so many of these people in the last several years are on committees now. We want to keep them engaged, but no, thank you for the kind words about the symposium and the workshop, and we've been so blessed to have them in our life.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Ed, if somebody is interested in learning more about the GPLI, or even, as I mentioned before, they accept donations, that how would they get a hold of you, or where should they go to make that happen?
Well, we have several ways to make that happen. We have our website, www.gpli.info, or you can just Google GP Lens Institute, and all our resources are there. A lot of them you can obtain at no charge, so you can just go and then a lot of online programs and probably about 150 webinars. You can also always email me at ebennett@umsl.edu. We now have a staff member. She's helping us in every conceivable way, and you can email her at beth@gpli.info. So we're really, and we're open for ideas in terms of what can we do and what would you like us to do, and we'd really appreciate that input.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to pay a visit to that website. The resources that are there and the webinars
It's
that
incredible.
are there. Anybody ever says, how do you find? Go to the website.
It is. It's incredible.
And whatever you need, it's there. So.
And the archival system is fantastic.
Agree.
In itself. So, Ed, thank you very much for participating in May I Interrupt? we didn't get much interruptions today. That we'll
Well,
have
you
to
know,
work
I
on
was
that.
thinking as we were going through most of this that you guys were talking about history. I was barely alive for some of this stuff, so
Right.
it's hard for me to interrupt when I have no
Right.
context.
Except the part that you
for-
said that you were a residence before there was a residence program.
Well, that's true.
So,
That
yeah,
got me into
yeah,
the
exactly.
territory at least.
So thank you very much for watching and listening for this episode of May I Interrupt? Please stay tuned to others, brought to you by OCULUS. We really appreciate you viewing this. Take care, everybody.
Don't forget the merch.
Thank you, Ed.